Hello, chat lords. Welcome to another Healthy Gamer GG stream. My name is Alok Kanoja. Just a reminder that although I'm a psychiatrist, nothing we discuss on stream today is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If y'all have a concern or question, please go see a licensed professional, because that's good for you. Yeah, so just a couple of quick announcements today. We will be talking to the one, the only, the xQc. He's been on stream a couple of times. We've had a couple of conversations. It's usually been good. Looking forward to it. This Friday, we may have an interview with an OnlyFans creator. So learning a little bit about what it's like to be a creator on OnlyFans. So looking, forward to that. And the joke's on y'all. It's actually the same person we're doing today. Yes, Friday we will have a OnlyFans announcement from xQc. I'm kidding. We're going to be hopefully doing an interview with a different kind of content creator on Friday. So yeah, hope y'all are doing well. A couple of other quick heads ups. And xQc may cancel because of that. Couple of other quick heads ups. So one thing is we actually have group coaching spots available for the first time in a while. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this, but we have a coaching program at Healthy Gamer, which is sort of inspired by some of the work that I do that's kind of translated over using the peer support model. So coaching has been like basically at 95% capacity since October of last year. And we've been working really hard at sort of creating more availability. we've been at like 99% capacity since May. And then like 99.9. So we've worked really hard, and y'all should definitely check out group coaching. I think a big part of what people get confused about, they're like, what is group coaching? Is it like personal coaching in group? No. So I'll explain this to you really simply, okay? So half the problem, if y'all watch our stream, you realize that half the problem that people have in life is that you don't actually know what your problems are. And then the interesting thing is, like, depending on what you search for, right? So if you struggle with a particular thing, so I was talking to a coach today about one of their clients who's struggling to learn social skills. And so what we do when we have a problem is we'll start searching for things like how to whatever on YouTube. And then we go down the content algorithm, but even though we watch lots of videos and stuff on YouTube, we don't necessarily get better. And I think with a lot of clients that we work with social anxiety, what we sort of discover is that you can run away from your social anxiety using the internet. You can use the internet to delude yourself into thinking that you are making progress towards your problem, because going out and socializing with people is anxiety provoking. But watching videos about how to interact with people is not anxiety provoking. And so we have this idea, right, that, okay, if I watch enough videos, then I will develop enough confidence and enough expertise to where I can go and socialize with people. So I think this is the kind of stuff that we target in group coaching. And the reason that it's hard to explain is because people don't quite know what the problem is. So the cool thing about group coaching is you get a chance to practice things like social skills, learn how to listen, learn how to challenge other people, learn how to engage in meaningful conversations, be vulnerable. This is all the kind of stuff that, like, you can watch a video about how to be vulnerable, but actually doing it over several weeks is going to be way more effective. And then the other really interesting thing is that group coaching, I think, is almost the closest thing to stream, because on stream, what happens is you watch a conversation between two people. And hopefully the reason we stream is we hope that you will learn something about yourself or about other human beings. That's how it works. And so group coaching is kind of interesting because it's actually way easier to see your problems in another person than it is for you to see your problems in your life. So if y'all are interested in that, definitely check it out. And we have spots for the first time in a long, long, long time. So check it out, okay? We are going to hop in with Felix. Okay. Hello. Looking at myself. Okay, well, while we're waiting on that, totally fine. How are y'all doing? You heard him.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, I hear him too. I just don't see you.
Yeah. Let me turn my camera off so I can put it on Discord. Do you hear me though, right?
Yeah, I hear you. It's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. Nice to hear your voice too. Just give me 1 second. Jesus. I was dealing with okay. Oh wow, this is like my old scenes. So maybe do games. That'll work out. Oh my God, 9,000 ms transition. Is this a joke? Sorry, listen, Dr. K, I'm so sorry about that. Oh my God, I had a 9,000 ms transition time. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Oh yeah. So basically, it means that like when I switch scenes, it takes 9 seconds to swap scenes. Like it's just took like an hour to get there. But it's okay. I'm all good now. We are all good, and I'm gonna go cam off so I could show you mine, and then we're all good to go. Sounds fair enough?
Okay.
Okay. Camera on.
The moment. Hey, what's up, dude?
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
Good. Been pretty busy, but.
Do I look red to you or not?
maybe a tiny bit, but there's the light is behind you, so I can't see the tone of your face very well.
Oh, okay. And
Your
that'll work out then.
Okay.
Yeah. And people say you're loud, so I'm just gonna turn it down maybe a tiny bit, but I think it should be fine. Can you talk one more time?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay. And when I talk, oh yeah, I guess I'm quiet for them. Just give me a second. I'll just throw on some gain and it'll be good to go.
I just increased you on my end.
I'm at +8 now. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sounds
What about
good.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about the same level as you, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all good now. I'm gonna close everything out now, and then we'll be okay.
So what's going on? How you been?
Oh, wait, hold on. I closed the monitor and I closed everything, so it's my fault. Yeah, I thought closing the monitor because I didn't want to see chat would like fix it, but it just kind of broke it. I guess I'll have to keep the monitor on. Sorry about that. Yeah, you're all good to go. Let's do before we start, and we're good.
All right.
It's hot in here. It's like sweaty. Oh yeah, you asked me how I've been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty good actually. It's I think it's like on the way up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the direction matters a lot to me, and I think the direction right now is up, and that's really good.
Yeah, direction is really important. Is there something in particular you wanted to talk about today? We just catching up or what?
Yeah, just catching up. Sure, yeah, we could kind of start like that, and then you could kind of like inquire about like I guess certain things that it's kind of hard to pinpoint like stuff to talk about, right?
Sure.
But I mean, there's so much to talk about that I guess we'll find something for sure.
I have a feeling that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you want me to catch you up first, or you want to catch up first? Do you want to just catch me up, or you want to hear what I've been up to? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Just what have you been doing overall?
So I think we last spoke on stream a couple years ago. I know that we've connected here or there. So I think since we last spoke, Healthy Gamer has grown a lot. We started off like sort of focusing on trying to just help people on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of quickly realized that like a lot of people out there have problems, and we're trying to help a lot of those people. So I think maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with this, but we do a lot of like not mainstream stuff, but mainstream on sort of the medical side. So we do a lot of work with the American Psychiatric Association, did some stuff with the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General, have done some stuff with the United Nations. So we kind of do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we also basically built up first couple, maybe year and a half, 2 years I was streaming, people asked like thousands and thousands of questions. So for the last like year or two, I realized that like I need to answer all those questions. So we started doing more lectures and really explaining mental health topics to people, and that seems to be going really well. I think we also sort of found that when we were really blowing up on Twitch, that we were attracting the wrong kind of people in some ways.
I can see that.
And then we sort of had like an internal like existential crisis about like, who do we want to be? Do we want to be big and chase drama? Or are we okay with our numbers shrinking and staying true to like trying to help people? And we ultimately chose the latter. And I think a lot of our numbers and stuff have suffered as a result, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, because then for sure. Because then if the impact that you want to have, it's I guess a little bit more targeted, right?
Right.
So you're achieving your goal, but I think the whole like drama audience or like more I guess controversial type thing, I guess it would make it harder to navigate with the chat and with the interaction, right? Because then it's cluttered with a lot of people that aren't there for the right reasons. I would assume.
Yeah.
And then it makes it like a non-discussion in chat. That's what I would be afraid of anyway.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of actually value to doing drama stuff, not because it's drama, but because if we sort of think about what are the hardest times in our lives, it's when there's drama in our life.
Yeah.
And so helping someone navigate through drama, I think, is actually like a really, really important thing to teach other people. So there's parts of it that we're like totally fine with, but it was getting to it started feeling a little bit ambulance chaser-ish.
I don't
And
know what that means. I don't know that topic.
there's a saying in English that is about like lawyers who chase ambulances. So if you think about like, okay, if there's some kind of accident or injury, where are you going to find your best clients? By chasing an ambulance. But then what you're also doing is like chasing an ambulance, trying to find a client when someone's been hurt. So, we're back and forth. We're learning a lot, growing a lot, but overall, things are good.
Yeah, so I didn't want to interrupt you. I'll watch some clips of you, and a lot of times you talk about certain topics. Even like the simplest phrase you say sometimes will be really enlightening, and I'll take it home. Sometimes something as simple as last time when you talked about like I think it was addiction, and you said that it's like you talk about like the solution and the problem, and then you do something, and it was just really impactful. I don't. It was impactful. I just don't remember the exact quote. I'm trying
That's
to paraphrase it. I didn't want to butcher it and like just kind of send it, but
That
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't know. I can't recall what I've said most of the time. People will walk up to me and will say, "Yeah, I really like that video about that," and I'll be like, "What? I don't remember."
Oh yeah, it's like the things you do, like, and then that you're addicted to, and you see those things as like a solution, like when you're
Oh yeah,
gaming to escape or whatever, right? And that resonated a lot with me. Sometimes you say like really short phrases that impact a lot, and sometimes you'll hear somebody ramble like me for like an hour, and then you got nothing to take home.
yeah. So that probably means that we've got our shorts editors are doing a good job.
Yeah,
Props
yeah,
go to them,
yeah.
not my rambling. Yeah. So how have you been over the last couple of years?
Oh, it's been good. I think a lot of things have been rocky. I mean, everybody knows it's not like I rarely get like overwhelmed by a lot of things. I didn't want this to be just like a full on negative like just outpouring of just trauma dumping, if that makes sense, but more kind of like guidance on I guess dealing with certain things
Sure.
and kind of yeah, just kind of a lot of it is like processing. I think I process things super well and very fast in certain areas and very slowly in other ones. And that becomes like it becomes kind of I get new roadblocks all the time. Um, I think overall, the only problem that the reason why is again a problem is that I feel like the clutter that isn't part of my dailies is just streaming and doing stuff creatively, right? And a lot of the problems in the past have never been really a stop to that. And it just feels like recently, I'm just less creative. I'm just kind of like trying to stay above water, trying to like stay alive and just kind of breathing above water. Does that make sense? And I feel like it's not me. It's not who I am, And it kind of sucks to like see myself that way, and just kind of almost like look at myself in the mirror and being like, this is not who I am. It's not what I do, whatever. And I don't know why it's still happening like that.
Yeah.
It annoys me a lot because it's never been like that, and I don't want to become something I don't want to become. Like, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. So can I just share what I heard you say?
Yeah.
So I think Felix, for a long time, it's been beautiful to see you thrive
Yeah.
in this world of streaming, where I think you're a misfit in many other parts of the universe.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes.
I think you're at home in a lot of ways. I think you've got a lot of really good creative energy. I think the way that you think, I think the way that you really speak your mind. I mean, I know you're really good at Overwatch and stuff and games, but I really like your commentary sometimes. And what I'm
Thank you.
hearing is that you're not so much thriving so much as you are surviving.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to live a life where you're just like surviving. And it almost feels to me like you've lost a piece of yourself. And
Yeah.
I hope this isn't judgmental, but frankly, dude, like I agree. Like when I saw you 2 or 3 days ago in person, and like I was worried about you.
Yeah. I was worried about me.
And I hadn't felt that. I run into a lot of people at events and stuff, but like I was just really like, and so I'd love to. We can absolutely learn about why creativity is hard, especially for streamers, mental clutter, because you need a certain amount of like mental space to be creative.
Yeah.
Or the other option is that if your creativity involves direct channeling of your internal negative experience, that works too.
Yeah. So I think that's always been my main channel, if not my only. I think I'm only creative when it's like kind of like almost like a breakthrough, if that makes sense. If it's like a energy transfer, right? We're transferring like anger or whatever into whatever you're doing, and then sometimes you feel like you're like back against a wall, right? And instead of like fighting back what's in front, I'll just break whatever's. I'll break the wall behind me, and then it will have like breakthroughs like creatively or whatever. Um, and I think a lot of it is that when, however bad or however the things I'm dealing with, however bad it could be, I process it, the bad of it, by just having it out there like a diary. You know, maybe I shouldn't do that as often, but I like to just kind of let people on about what's going on in my life, right? In a way, it feels like I'm letting go of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
In recent times, I haven't been able to do that
You
because of
haven't been able to?
reasons. No, I haven't
Okay.
because of various reasons and proceedings and whatever.
Because
And it feels
well,
like
I'm sorry, what?
oh, just limitations and court proceedings or whatever. I just
Okay.
can't.
Okay.
A lot of things I hold back,
Okay.
um, and it makes like a block, right? As I'm trying to be like creative and just kind of let it out and kind of have breakthroughs. And sometimes I feel like I can't, like that energy doesn't come out as naturally as it used to.
Okay.
Um, just because it's hard. I like I said, the way I process my problems by people knowing stuff. So now that I can't, I didn't know it would be like this, but it's like I'm fully blocked, right?
Okay.
And it feels like I can't channel all my stuff. And even if I do, it won't make sense to anybody. It doesn't make sense to me anyway. And that just leads me in directions that are just kind of stale, and that's really bad. I always said like if things are gonna be stale, I'm just not gonna do it, right? People always said, "Oh, streaming and money and this and that, and it's a career." I always said if I don't feel like it's fulfilling and I don't feel like it's good, I just won't do it. And I always said like if I'm gonna quit one day, I'm just gonna quit overnight, and you're not gonna see me again, right? When it stops feeling like it. But that's not how I'm feeling right now. It feels like um, I can and I will, but it just feels like I'm currently blocked.
Okay. What do you think it is that is what makes it hard for you to access that creative energy?
Um, what makes it hard to access that energy? It feels like I can't like just kind of like yell and scream about my problems and just kind of let them out and then feel like whatever comes after is like just kind of the channeled rage in a different way, because that's kind of how it's always been, you know, whatever I'm dealing with at the time, it didn't really matter because like people would know about it, and for them maybe it's a big deal or not, whatever I'm going through or whatever, which is irrelevant because afterwards then I can like channeled all the rage that I have or whatever, and I do that by being creative, and it comes out in a product that makes sense to me and that I'm proud of. And these days, I feel like I haven't been able to channel that and not in anything that I think is worthwhile.
Okay.
And that just kind of sucks. Like I used to be able to look back and be like, okay, yeah, like this month or this quarter or this half year has been kind of bad, but we have some stuff to look back at that I enjoyed doing. And I was like, oh, that was really good. That was really good. And yeah, I'm looking back and I'm like, what's behind me? There's just not much. Um, and it makes me feel like I'm failing myself and I'm failing everybody and yada yada.
So I'm hearing a couple different things. One is that even when you've been through hard times, you can look back and find a couple of bright points that you can really find to be proud of. So even,
Yeah.
you know,
So times where I guess the rage was channeled properly, and it was like, you know, and I always tell this chat. Basically, the way I'll do things creatively is that it's kind of like an impossible to fail system, where like when things get bad, right? I'll fight it as much as I can, and it'll get bad and worse and worse and worse. But it can't get that bad because once it hits rock bottom, right? That's when I have a breakthrough all the time, right? It's at that point I feel like I'm like, okay, this is all so bad. Let's just go crazy and then do something, right? And I've always been able to cycle out of it and just, you know, does that make sense? Like
mhm.
just have a creative breakthrough, and then do good again, and then gonna get out of that. And now I feel like I'm like near rock bottom, but I'm not having that kind of breakthrough because I'm blocked out of doing it.
Okay, so
That makes sense. Yeah.
what I'm kind of picking up is that you mentioned that you process some things fast, and in the past, you used to process by just sharing, like just kind of letting it all out into the open,
Yeah.
and that let's call it a coping mechanism is unavailable to you. So
Yeah.
now what's going on is like XQC had figured out a strategy of how to process quickly. You know, once it's off your mind, then you can kind of focus on doing stuff. And even though bad stuff happened, you can kind of process it, go back to a bright point, have some kind of breakthrough. And what I'm really hearing has changed is that you're kind of not allowed to talk about it publicly.
Yeah, a lot of things. Some of it's small, some of it big, but it just annoys me that I can't. Even if I'm sure there's a world where I even wouldn't. Just having the option to do it, or having it's just the freedom, the lack of freedom. Even though it's just one part nobody wants to hear about sometimes, and nobody, I guess, would care about it, right? Well, I care about it. Um, and it's like really small blockades that go into bigger ones,
Okay.
right?
So
And yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead. No.
Yeah, no, I just feel like I was on like the back foot, and it's just not like, it's not like getting better, and also it gives me like an excuse to do bad or do worse, and I end up just falling to the rabbit hole of just you know, I fall for it. I go like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with stuff, so like, yeah, it's I can't do as good as I'm dealing with something that you guys don't know about, right? But in fact, these are just excuses. They really are. Like, in a lot of ways, like I fall into just excuses. And I have like, I can make myself feel better, but it doesn't mean that it is better. But just gonna like not have something to blame, and I don't like that. You know, does that make sense or not?
Yeah, Felix, it's I'm hearing a lot of powerlessness.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is. Yeah.
Like, I hear that you're not able to bounce back. I hear that, you know, you're kind of beating yourself up for not being able to bounce back too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are some cycles that are like usually easy to kind of break out of, and now they're just a bit harder, right?
A
And
bit harder.
yeah, I mean, way harder. Yeah, it's like they're like unbreakable. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man.
It I think a problem is that it was just too much at once. Because out of anybody out there, I think I've dealt with things pretty decently well over the years. Like when things get hard, or when I had problems, especially like Overwatch League days or whatever. Like I was back against a wall. I was like, it was me on my own, whatever, and I still did pretty good. And I'm proud of all these things, right? And I can manage like to be thrown like a bunch of stuff at the same time, right? Like 5, 6, but now it's been like 25, you know? And it's like, when you drink alcohol, people say like the body will process like one drink an hour or something like that, right? Or like get it out. It feels like the tank is like so full, right? That it's like going down slowly, and it keeps more added on, and it's like, dude, like we'll never get to the bottom of this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was just too much at once. It's like my whole world was changing in too many ways for me to process any of it. Because it's easy when you have a problem with your system, to understand like what's failing, how to replace it, how to move on, right? When it's like only one problem. When there's multiple components that are failing, you start wondering, what are the failing parts? You don't even know which ones are the failing parts, which ones are the good ones, and I start to blame myself at that point. As maybe I'm the problem. And I can't get stuck in those cycles. Like it was just too much at once. I think that's the way I'm gonna put it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Felix, the other thing I'm hearing is that, and by the way, do you want me to call you XQC or Felix?
Felix is good.
I'm also hearing that maybe for the first time in your life, you can't count on yourself.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think I've said that in the past, like, in last like months or weeks. I've said that. Yeah, I've said that. Yeah, I admitted that for the first time. I think to my stream last time. I think I said that um, I always put all of the chips in my favor or on my side because when nobody's there, because oftentimes for most people, nobody will be there for them, not family, friends, whatever. They will be literally by themselves. And when there's a problem, there's something when something happens, well, the only person that's left is them, right? And you want yourself to be in your own corner. And I've admitted that like at times, um, not only was I not in my corner, I was against myself, right? And in like normally I have like self-destructive tendencies that help, right? They're kind of helpful because something good comes out of it, right? Like a breakthrough. And then I felt like I was just literally against myself at that point. And I was like, I'm not even in my own corner. So like, why am I looking elsewhere at other people? It doesn't matter who helps me at that point. Like I will fail myself regardless. And I think getting out of that I'm doing better with that, but getting out of that was like pretty hard, you know?
How are you doing better with that?
Um, Standing up for myself, I think. Like making a stand and like um I think transitioning to being like a better overall like adult, like doing all the tasks that I have to do and just kind of being just proud to be like at least a somehow functioning adult that like I can fly by myself, I can kind of live by myself um through all the problems and whatever. And I take my own battles and I don't need any help. And uh I think it's helped to see that I can do it, you know? Because for the longest time, like I had somebody to fight my battles with me, you know? And it kind of felt like in a way, when I go live, I had my own little sun or my little spotlight above my head, right? Like you go live and then I have my own little sun and chat and everything, all the fun and all the creative stuff is cool and all. And then when I turn off the stream, well, as soon as you go offline, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, you've felt it yourself. The spotlight is it's completely out instantly, right? Which is fine if you have somebody or some people around that can kind of like carry that sunlight for you until you go to bed or whatever. But recently, it's been like spotlight goes off and it's just darkness, you know? It's just nothing. And I think at first it was like, well, let's try. And I look at all the things to blame and everybody, whatever, and I realized that it was just me. Um, I feel like I have to be a little bit like stronger and take accountability for the things that the problems and the things that that I've done, and just kind of like just just kind of level out with myself. I think I've never really had to talk with myself for a while. I have to level out again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been helping. Yeah.
Can I think for a second?
Yeah, of course.
So is what would you like guidance on, Felix?
Good question. Um, Maybe like finding or finding ways to find what I actually want and kind of like who I am. Like it's not like an identity crisis, but like um, what I mean, kind of in the end, like what matters. Because I think in a lot of ways, I think a lot of things that most people would think do matter for them was kind of like taken away from me, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'll take some accountability here and there for the mistakes that I've done and the things that I've lost or taken away from myself. But I think a lot of things that people do care about, they're like life goals, whatever, was just kind of stripped, and it kind of makes you kind of want to give up a little bit, like on like not wanting those things again, right? Like building a home, building a relationship, shit like that. And it kind of, I thought that was kind of a good thing at one point. It's kind of easier to just say fuck it. Yeah, fuck all that. Like, because it was all at once almost, and it was like, okay, well, fuck all that then, and let's go back to just focusing on streaming and just doing this. But yeah.
So Felix, I know this may sound weird, but I really don't know much of what you're talking about. So if you're assuming that I know, so I don't.
Oh yeah, I'm speaking in Coda.
Uh,
Yeah.
I actually don't look at drama. Like, I know that when there's drama, like, people will fucking talk about it and react, and like, people will post and Twitter and all that stuff. I actually don't look at any of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, even just given how the size of you and your life, I mean, some of that stuff bled through, and I don't want to ask you anything that will interfere with whatever court, but I'd love to hear what you can share about just big picture. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I think big picture overall is that one of the earlier problems was like I was cared about at least building some form of like stability at one point or like foundation, and for me that was like a home, like, and I just kind of like dream of like building a home at one point, and I was like I want to feel at home, and I kind of chased that for a while, and then I kind of like I bought this house and then started furnishing it, and then people look back at that era of that house as like the golden era of my stream because I felt home, um, and I think after a little bit of time that I lived there, I had to leave it. There was too many problems over there. It was dangerous for me to live there and whatnot. I left it behind, and then I tried again and again, like two more times to just do that again. And there's always something that will like take it away from me, just because of I think the nature of what we do and stream whatever. I just the actual nature of it and what it comes with or whatever made it so that I guess I temporarily can't have that. You can have a house or houses, I guess.
But it
Having a
sounds
home,
like
having a home is different than having a house.
what's the difference between a house and a home?
Um, it's kind of complicated a little bit. The way that I could describe a home as easy as I can is if I'm not feeling good, right, and I'm upset, I can close my eyes and where's home? And if I picture home, I'm in my home and I feel comfortable now. I feel good, right? And that was like when I was younger, that was like my mom's house, and then I moved out, and then it was my other house. Like, okay, that's home where things feel like I'll be taken care of, or I'll take care of myself over there, or whatever, right? But now it just kind of feels like yeah, I haven't had that. Like I close my eyes and I see, oh, where's the place that feels comfortable, and I just don't see it, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm hearing that you don't feel safe anywhere.
Yeah,
That there's no place that you can count on to be safe.
yeah. That takes time. That takes time and commitment, but it just felt like it was kind of like pulled from under my feet. So I mean, so many times, like it kind of felt like, okay, well, dude, fuck all that. Like, let's just stop trying. It's so much energy and so much resources like into doing it that like it's not like it happens once and then you give up and you're just kind of like bitching out of it, right? Just it's so often. It's like, okay, let's focus on other things. Let's try other shit for for a little bit, um, because it's just clearly not working. Um, and then just like I feel overall like friends and acquaintances was like just kind of a lot of fallouts and a lot of I felt anyway like a lot of like betrayals. I don't want to be like out here like screaming wolf or whatever. Like I'm tough to deal with and I don't like water my plants if that makes sense when it comes to friendships. But sometimes I kind of felt like a little bit like betrayed for kind of no reason. Um, and then so like friends can yeah, I do have better friends now, but kind of like that was out of the way. Then I don't have that. Then problems with like I had problems with family at one point, which ended up being problems with my relation, and then it was like relation, family, home, friends, and at one was like, shit, what's left? Like what actually is left? What do people care about in life that makes them fulfilled? That isn't any of those things, and it happened all at once. So then at one point you don't you just kind of like lacking direction.
Can I think for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's kind of what I'm putting together. So you're xQc. You're a pretty resilient guy. You're a streamer. You work really hard. You're not the best. You may not be the best friend. You may not be the easiest person to get along with. You make mistakes, but you tend to bounce back. I think your heart is in the right place. You try to learn from your mistakes. You grow. You're pretty resilient. And that really, like, at one point, a lot of pillars that support you, a lot of pillars that allow you to process fast and bounce back and take that negativity and turn it into creativity, started to fall away. So the simplest thing is that, like, I can't imagine from a physiologic perspective what this is like, but to, like, be deprived of your home again and again and again, which is something that I don't think a lot of people, like, really appreciate. And it's not good to compare, but I think that sometimes, like, you know, we hear about people who lose their homes.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, wow, that must be terrible. And how do you deal with that and stuff like that? What I'm hearing from you is maybe not in the same way, but that you've really lost the safety of your home time and time and time again. And here you are, like, trying to build a life. And then, like, you kind of get punished for wanting, right? So you try to build something and then, like, it kind of gets taken away. And then you're like, well, as you put it, you don't want to be a bitch about it, right? So there's like some amount of self-blame. Like, I'm not going to let this knock me down. I'm going to be, like, better. I'm not going to bow out. I'm going to try again. It gets taken away again and taken away again and taken away again. And so your life becomes something where, like, you want something, but every time you want it, you get punished for it.
Yeah. It's like the little meme. Maybe you've seen it before. It's like a little box. It's like this little blob in the box.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll get out of it, and bang, it gets
Yeah.
punched in, right? And he goes, okay, well, fuck it, then I'll go back in.
Right. So and then now you're kind of stuck between, like, saying, okay, well, fuck it, like, I'm done wanting.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, like, now, you know, I know there's, like, some amount of metrics and growth and money and other kinds of, like, things that you can move towards, but generally speaking, I think whether I mean, some people really chase money or whatever, but generally speaking, I think most people like money as a means to an end, or success as a means to an end. Sometimes success, what it provides is a sense of confidence, identity, stuff like that. But I'm really hearing that, like, several things happened at once, like family stuff, like relation stuff, like maybe work-related stuff, like home stuff, and everything kind of got taken away from you.
Yeah.
And
a lot
then,
of crossfire.
huh?
A lot of crossfire as well. Sometimes kind of like one piece interacts with the other, and then I lose both or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool now. There's problems, but, like, now I lose all of it, so, like, it kind of sucks. And also, you said earlier, like, you have these pillars that are kind of, like, falling apart or under your feet or whatever, and that I would be okay with that. But it wasn't even that. Is that the pillars that I was standing on reverted and start, like, fucking spearing me? Does that make sense? Like, if there was only neutral and I had lost them, it'd be fine. But if they turn against me, I think it's a little bit of a deeper experience. Some sort of, like, well, no, not some sort, like, actual just betrayal on a lot of ends. At one point, you could kind of start thinking, you're the problem. And maybe there's some validity to that. I'm the problem in a lot of ways. And I can recognize that 100%. I'm not the easiest person to be friends with. I'm not the easiest person to work with. I'm not the easiest family member. I'm not the best boyfriend. But I don't think that these inabilities equate to, like, what was going on.
So I'm hearing, and once again, you know, we didn't really talk about what's okay and what's not okay to talk about today. So I'm curious, are you, I don't want you to share anything that will get you in trouble or anything like that, but, like, I mean, you're using very powerful imagery, right? That this is not just pillars going away. This is pillars turning into spears. Is there anything that you feel comfortable sharing, just so that I can understand, like, what kind of stuff are we talking about? And if the answer is no, that's totally fine.
No, that's good. It's good. Well,
like, what do you mean by betrayal? Like, that's a strong word.
Yeah, it is. And I wish I didn't have to. I wish it wasn't like that. Like, I'm like I said earlier, I'm not, like, trying to cry wolf, whatever. But I chose my words very carefully. Like, I didn't navigate it and just kind of landed on that word. Yeah, like, it just feel like sometimes the people that I shared information with, the people that I confided with, um, when shit goes down, it just feels to me like it's used against me. So all my weaknesses and all my vulnerabilities are now just ammo for they're just ammo for other people, and it makes me feel like I can't share anything with anybody. I can't like talk about anything with anybody. I feel like it's all just leverage, and then yeah,
So it sounds
leverage
like
is yeah
it's impossible to trust people.
yeah. Oh, I've had my walls up for a while now. Yeah,
A lot of walls and no home.
yeah, yeah. You would think that'd be crazy. Um, yeah, especially sometimes around like money and whatever, which I didn't expect was gonna hit me like that because I never really cared for money that much. Like it's cool to have it and to get it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm as happy as anybody can be to receive capital, but in a way, I think I've always like not really cared enough to like really spend and really kind of be like that. And then at one point, it kind of felt like I've said this before, but it kind of felt like everybody around me started caring about it more than I care about it myself, and that makes me want to like. Well, I'm not trying to do some Joker scheme here, but like it makes me want to like kind of burn it all, you know? Like if I have something that I care about to a certain degree, or I care about a little bit, I guess. Once you're past like comfort, you know, it's like the upper layers or kind of whatever. If you're not, because I didn't even have time to spend anyway. I would stream all day. When everybody around me starts caring about it like so much, right? Then it annoys me because there's me right here, everybody's next to me, and then everybody's looking past me to whatever I have. It's like, okay, well, how do I get the focus back on me? That I'll just burn it then. Like that's kind of like logical conclusion almost, right? Um, Sometimes it feels like I'd have none of the problems I have right now if it wasn't for that.
What's it like being looked past? I mean, can you tell us more about that? Like
Um,
this kind of idea of like I just want to
it's really
burn it. Like,
bad. I think it's really bad. Yeah, it's really. I think it's very destructive. It's nothing that I think. I think people will have. I think I generally feel like you will have doubts about it. That is it actually like that? You will actually, and then you can kind of be a little bit paranoid about it, right? And kind of have ideas that okay, these people are after money or whatever. Um, but I think what was hard to process is that once it was kind of confirmed, right? Once you get that confirmation, all that's difficult because it's like it makes you feel like invisible, right? It makes you feel like I am what I have, and for me, I've always been like a lot into I love what I do and I love like all my interests, and I'm all about like just doing and building what I am, and caring a lot about that, and having people around me kind of switch a little bit into seeing me for what I have is like a tough like um realization.
what's tough about it?
Makes you feel like invalidated. Makes you feel like kind of unheard. Um, it kind of yeah, it makes you feel kind of alone a lot of times. Um, Especially as someone who wasn't really about it for like forever. Like, um, you know, these are difficult things to explain overall. And I'll explain it if it was just me and you. I explain it like in let's say 80 words, but I'll go a bit beyond to give more context because I know people will watch and they'll wonder what I'm talking about. Um, um,
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah. Let me just I get that you're speaking vaguely and that's anyway.
I'm speaking. Am I speaking code?
I think you're so it helps me a lot to understand like a detailed scenario, and at the same time I'm like noticing that you're being very very careful, so I don't quite know what you're talking about, which is okay. You don't need to share it.
Okay.
I'm gonna I mean, if you want to, it would be helpful, but I'm okay like respecting what I think is that boundary and just moving on to other stuff because I don't think that I think the impact on you is more important than the details of what happened.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like um I've said it in the past, and one of the moments I think one of the key moments that really hurt me the most, I kind of gave me that kind of realization, is that whether I was kind of right or wrong, or whether I was being kind of paranoid or not, I've said in the past, like um, I didn't really feel good about like how I was feeling and my health overall. Not for things nobody knows about any of his people. I don't want people to speculate. I just didn't feel right, and then I was writing my will with uh, with my mom and whatever, and 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 then the person I was with, I was kind of like I was like, yeah, I don't feel really good and whatever. And then if I die, if I check out, or like I want people to get stuff, and that person was not on the wheel, and then it was like at a moment where I'm like really vulnerable at my kind of lowest, like it's kind of like oh wow, like I'm so scared. I'm writing a wheel down, hearing him just say like, okay, then if that happens, then what do I get? It's kind of like wow, shit, that's tough. Um, you know, because it makes you feel like even if you were to fucking check out, like you would still be what you have, you know. Um, and I think that was like really impactful. That's kind of where things kind of fell apart. Yeah.
Uh, for Thank you for sharing that. I think that adds a lot of. I mean that helped me like really, like holy shit, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like you're I don't even know how old you are, but you ain't old, and here
Yeah.
you are, making your will, and like instead of someone wondering like, hey, like why are you doing this, what's wrong, like how can I
Yeah.
help, like what the fuck, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what do I get?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, and I'm not like kind of paraphrasing. That's exactly how it was. Like almost like one to one. And after that, it kind of, I don't know, things kind of start changing a little bit. And then, yeah, and then it just kind of, it was like more recurring all the time, a bunch of times. And it just, and then it's like I don't know what it's called, the psychological thing where like once you see it once, you know it exists and you see it more often.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah. Um, then it's like, then I kind of see it more often in the patterns a little bit. Not that I was paranoid. I'm not like going full schizo about it, but uh,
Well, I mean,
definitely,
I think it's reasonable. So
yeah,
I see this a lot with people who are young and successful, and um, I worked with someone who started a company very young and then like sold it at the age of like 26 or something like that, and then
yeah,
they were, people started treating them differently.
yeah.
Um, and you mentioned in sometimes that you do contribute to the problems. In what way do you think you contribute to some of the problems that you have?
'Cause I would like let these people like get away with it, if that makes sense. Like I kind of like blind. I didn't want to believe that that was the world that I was gonna be living in, and then I kind of let it happen and kind of let the waves wash over me, if that makes sense. Um, I was just kind of like, there's no way it's kind of like that, and I was kind of in complete denial for the longest time. It took me a while to really get that. Even sometimes you can have it as boldly as it can be in front of you, right? And as easy and right there, you still won't really believe it or something, you know?
So,
Um,
if I
yeah.
were to ask, let's say, some of your friends who betrayed you or whatever, do you have a sense of what they would say about how you contribute to problems in relationships? I doubt they would
Yeah.
say you were in denial for having too much faith in them.
No, no. Yeah, no. I think um, even though I care a lot, I hyper focus on things, and a lot of times I neglect people. I don't give them the time of day. I don't give them time and acknowledgement. And like I said earlier, I don't water my plants, and that was a big problem with my relationships as well. Romantically, is that I was a bad boyfriend. I was cold and withdrawn, and rarely there. And when I'm there, I'm just kind of like my head is like cooked almost, you know. So I'm like kind of just being there, especially with friends or whatever. And that contributes to problems 100% because then make people have ideas about what you think or feel about them, and they probably think that you're like almost against them or something like that, right? So in a way, I was always kind of passively not doing good to anybody, and I would expect the same type of thing in return, right? Except instead, when it was more like betrayal, then it feels like it's more willingful hostility. It's more deliberate than just being passively not responding to somebody or ghosting them or whatever, right? I think it's a different level of intensity that kind of raises the bar. And I get it. Some people will snap if they're like starved, but I didn't know it'd get that bad. And I blame myself for a little bit of it. Not all of it. I'm not gonna like full fold on it, but
Yeah. So that's useful to know. So I'm kind of hearing that, and it's interesting. You use this word cooked. I think it's a great. Oftentimes when I'm done streaming, like I just don't have anything left in the tank, and I have to like go
yeah,
and recuperate. You know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'm kind of around, and even to a certain degree, like almost like leeching off of the people around me.
yeah,
You know, because and I just don't have anything left, like to give and participate. But I don't want to
yeah,
be by myself, and I'm getting something from that. So it can feel very one sided.
yeah,
So let me try to stitch some stuff together. Oh, actually, one last question. Maybe
yeah.
not last, but so Felix, a lot of stuff that we're talking about, I'm curious, like, what are you feeling emotionally as we talk about this stuff? Because like a lot of it's like pretty heavy, man.
Well, I don't know. I don't. It's just yeah, I think the way that I visualize it a lot, I'm very visual, so I can see most of my thoughts and my concepts. Like even though it sounds kind of crazy, but some even like elaborate thoughts that are all words in my head, I see as like an image. So kind of the way I can kind of describe it to you is that it's not that it's too hard to deal with, because I think the way that I see it anyway in myself is that like you have like a RAM in your computer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's saturated. It's already maxed out. There's always so much in there that's like in my thoughts or whatever. There's always so it's like already packed, right? So whatever comes above it, or whatever, it'll just replace or it'll. But like it, I think at one point it comes to like a maximum amount of things you can care about, right? If you have like 16 problems and you think about you sitting right now, you think about them, shit, you have to really remind yourself of these problems because you almost forget about them. There's so many of them. Um, and when these things happen all at the same time, yeah, it's heavy. But at the same time, I could just kind of bury it and just kind of go live and just fucking send it, And then it's like it all becomes kind of right. And the biggest problem with that is that I'll process them kind of passively by just doing stuff, but with just the recent stuff and whatever I have to deal with it. For the first time in my career, if you want to say a career, um, I I have my phone upside upside up, like whatever with the like. There are some things I have to kind of be receptive of, and if I get communicated stuff, I need to like answer like kind of like now, right? So I can't like escape it entirely. I can never like just say, okay, I'm closing Discord, I'm closing Twitter, I'm closing my text messages, and put it on snooze, and I'm gonna go live for like the whole day. I have to like constantly just kind of check up on it, and that's been like the big roadblock, is like just feeling like something is gonna happen, something's gonna say something, somebody's gonna do whatever, and just gonna being in that cycle of like reminder that the problems are there. I can't even escape them.
Okay. So one more question. So you mentioned that sometimes you kind of air this stuff out on stream and stuff, and it helps you process. Have you tried airing it out privately?
Um, yeah, a lot of people know about a lot of stuff I go through. Yeah,
Does
and it doesn't help. It doesn't. It just doesn't, like, just flat out. It doesn't, and sometimes even the solution don't give me any peace. Like, sometimes the resolutions of these things, like, it's almost like you're kind of chasing it down. It's like you finally get it. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't feel any better.
Okay. So
right.
I'm hearing that that's not helpful. Have you tried with a professional?
No.
Okay. So Felix, here's what I'm kind of. Do you want me to ask you more questions? Are you enjoying talking about this, or do you want answers?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, no, you're all good.
No, but
Yeah,
what do you
no,
want?
I like questions. I think talking about it now, I kind of reprocess it because that makes sense. I can't just hear myself talk, right? These are some things that I haven't thought about in a while or something. It's kind of helpful to just hear myself talk about it. Yeah. Questions. You can have answers if you have one like on the fly, but yeah, we can just kind of go. Yeah, just keep asking questions. We'll see what happens.
So is it helpful to you that I'm asking questions?
Yeah, I think you're getting a better grasp of what's up, and I think you're smart enough to interrupt me and kind of have like a solution when you find one, or like something to talk about whenever. I think you pick up on those things, and I kind of trust the process. So.
Yeah, so I think I'm at kind of like a pausing point in the process, and I'm going to give you a couple of options.
Yeah.
So the first is that, like, speaking in the vague ways that you are, and I'm not saying that as a criticism. I know that you've got good reasons for it.
Yeah.
So if let's like understand something about processing. So saying the words that need to be said is like really important. So whether that's going to the grave of one of your parents who is sexually abusive and like yelling at them and telling them that they're fuckers and you hate them, that's different from vaguely telling someone that, like, you know, my parents did some bad stuff and I'm mad at them. Like you have to speak your truth.
Yeah.
So this is where, like, I can continue asking questions and I think I'm going to get vague answers, but I felt more goodness hearing about this story about your will than like anything else that you've said. And by goodness, I don't mean that it was good. I mean that feels to me like progress in some way.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing is that I think I've got like two types of solutions that we can talk through. One is like, okay, like how can you as a streamer understand physiologically, neuroscientifically, psychologically, like what's going on? Sort of like this business about always being plugged in, and like there's like some stuff around that about really understanding what your life is doing to your person.
Yeah.
Stress, like you're getting run ragged, like you're cooked, like you're baked, you're finished, like getting overcooked.
Yeah.
Right? And there's stuff where you can say, well, I have to respond to stuff today, and like begging your pardon, Felix, no, you don't. But I totally understand, having worked with like hundreds of content creators at this point, that everyone feels like they do. And maybe I'm wrong, but like, I've worked with some pretty big people, and I know the feeling. But there's some amount of like wrestling with yourself. And the second thing, and this is kind of where my heart is like this big question of like, what do you want and who are you and how do you live life? Like, what do you look for when the things that, when your supports start falling apart or betraying you or whatever, like how do you as like a human being in this world figure out what your compass is? Because what I'm hearing is that there's confusion. There's walls that you've built up to protect yourself that make you isolated. There's one person that you've always been able to count on, which has to a certain degree abandoned you, which is you. And then like, where do you go from here? Right? And like those are questions where I've helped some people, and I think this is like the conversation I'm having with you. I don't think it's just about you, and it's not about the other people that I've helped. This is a core problem. A lot of people in life counted on other people, got burned by it. And even in the past, when you get burned by people that you count on, you can count on yourself.
Yeah.
But at some point, even this cracks. And then we don't know what the fuck to count on. We don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. Here you are making all this money. And what happens? The more money you make, the more invisible you become.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm hearing that you're okay, like quitting streaming once you feel fulfilled and you're kind of done with it. And you're like, okay, this is no longer fun for me. You're not really in it for the money or the fame or the power or whatever. Right? Maybe some part of you is, but.
Yeah.
But I'm not hearing that, like, you know, you're quitting because you're fulfilled. What I'm hearing is that you're struggling to put your life back together, and it's like slipping away from you more and more and more.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind kind of like, in a way, like everybody knows about me. Like, I'm not going to hide it. I thrive in like chaos and kind of destruction and all these bad things. Cause at one point it becomes like an outlet, right? What I do anyway, right? And I think that's a very important process. And I just feel like I cannot do that right now. And that's the problem, is that the destruction and all the thing is, that's all like, it's been always part of my formula. Does that make sense? Yeah, I do like self-destruction and like self-sabotage or whatever in certain ways. And most people think of these things as like really bad and kind of worrisome. They're like strong words. But at the same time, they're part of my process. They're part of my formula, and it works for me, and I like it. And yeah, I'll always say, oh yeah, there's drama, but if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be in it. A lot of times, like I stay close to the fire, right? I just this time, it just felt like I kind of fell in the fire, right?
So,
I was kind of going like this for like years, and then I just kind of felt right in the fire, and it's like, fuck, I like the destruction. I don't like the absolute like annihilation. You know, it's like it's like a tier above it. And I didn't think it would go like that. I didn't think so.
So okay. So tell me this. So okay, with questions, or you want answers, or what do you want?
Oh, questions is good. Yeah,
Okay,
we could start with that.
So how do you thrive in chaos, Felix?
This is an analogy that I use sometimes. It's the scratched phone analogy. You get a new phone, right? And you're really careful not to scratch it, right? Oh my God, I can't scratch it. And then once you scratch it, you get really mad at it, right? So you could apply this analogy to anything, like your room or your head or whatever. And then once I get one scratch on it, then it's all out. I don't care anymore. And then it's like I'll get 1,000 scratches on it, right? Because it's damaged. And I cannot be, I'm not a very good adult enough to maintain intact or like overall intact things, right? And it feels like it's easier to thrive when it's all just all out. Like if I'm gonna have a little bit of trash on the ground, I might as well have the whole room full of it. If it's gonna be a little bit broken, it's gonna be completely busted, you know? And that's kind of like, it became kind of my world and my environment. And anytime I rented like a nice house or something nice, or I get something cool, whatever, I hate it because it's not my world I thrive in. I like the, yeah, like way back when I used to stream in like a garage and in a basement, and it's like full of trash, and it's like, shit, this is kind of hard, you know? It's easy because it's all, I don't feel like I have the responsibility to maintain it and whatever. And that's just always been my world. And that's what makes me thrive. Yeah, that's the chaos of it.
Can I think for a second?
Yeah, of course.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
So, if I'm understanding you, Felix,
Yeah.
it's liberating to have a cracked phone.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Because then it's like it falls into the water, jumping on the ground.
Hey, it's cracked. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
And
It's scuffed anyway.
And if I'm mad at it, if something's going on, I could chuck it.
You can chuck it. It's scuffed.
Yeah, I'll be like, dude, that's kind of how it feels, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's freedom. It is. It's the feeling that like it's so broken. It might get a little bit more broken, but it's not the difference between it being intact and a little bit scratched. It's like, it's it's a level of like of bad that is controlled. It'll get bad to a little bit worse, and that's like so. Yeah, it is liberating. It makes you feel like I could do whatever.
Felix, are
Yeah.
you perfectionistic?
That's tough. Um, that term is I've always struggled with it because I want it to be perfect in my way, not perfect to what I think something needs to be perfect. It has to be done my way, and that's been a blockade in a lot of projects I've been doing with other people. Is that if I can't execute it my way, I will never be able to do it for you or for anybody else. Like it's gonna be really bad. And a lot of sponsors I've had or collabs or whatever, it's just like it's just complete trash. Just like I don't know what we're doing because it's not me doing it.
Okay.
And I'm not like the conductor.
Okay, that's helpful to know. And then let me ask you, how good are you at keeping things intact?
Oh, I'm terrible at it. Yeah, I'm absolutely horrible at it.
When did
Nothing.
you? Yeah, go ahead.
Good. No, you're good.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I never. I'm terrible at it. It's skill zero.
When did you learn that you can't keep things intact?
I think just growing up and being messy, like just always being like ADHD Andy and like um doesn't matter. I can have my entire head and I'll focus on like not dropping this one plate and I will turn and I'll hit it on the wall, right? And at one point I kind of gave up in that part of me that like tries to do that, tries to it was like a complete give up. Like it's not like a little bit. It's like now it's okay. Well, not only do I know it's gonna be broken, I'm gonna prepare for it being broken, and I might just break it ahead of time just to make sure that it's broken ahead of time, and I'm not gonna be surprised by it, right? And in a lot of ways, I did that. Yeah. And
Yeah, because here's what I was just kind of thinking there for a second and thinking about what kind of person feels liberation from cracking their phone. The kind of person who's really, really, really stressed about not cracking it. What kind of person gets really, really, really stressed for cracking their phone? The person who tries really, really hard to not crack their phone and fucking cracks it anyway.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So what I'm hearing is that like success or perfection is something you've strived for and failed. And exactly what you said. I mean, it was kind of like what I was sort of thinking about. And even to the point where like I'm so afraid of dropping this dish, I'm just going to break it myself.
Yeah. With people too, sometimes you meet somebody that you like or care about, and it feels like I'm gonna fuck up at one point or very soon, and it makes me want to kind of give up on them already, so that they're not disappointed down the line, or I'm not caught by surprise and I just throw them away. Right?
How does it feel to say that?
Feels okay. I've been saying it to myself for like years. Like I think it's something I do like all the time. Like throw people away. Just because I know I won't be able to like water that plant or maintain it, or like I'm not good enough or whatever. Like imposter syndrome a little bit sometimes, and it's like, especially with girls also, when like something you feel like for some reason you feel like you're not good enough for them, right? And you know you're gonna fuck up somehow or some reason down the line, and you don't know when or what, and you're just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna ghost them and just throw them away, and it's like, now I know it's done. I'm not gonna get sad or annoyed by it when it happens or why or the scenario of it. If I throw them away now, and I prevent myself from having something good, then I can't break it.
Who are you protecting by doing that?
I think I try to protect myself from disappointment.
What disappointment in what or who? Who are you? What kind of disappointment are you protecting yourself from?
Like my future self, if that makes sense. Like I think I would rather like be kind of upset I missed out on an opportunity or I threw somebody away, right? Than actually fail at one point and be like, oh man, I failed them and I failed myself, and it's like kind of harsh. Like it's sometimes it gets destructive a lot, and it's like, oh, well, I can avoid that because I'm not good enough, so fuck it. I'm just gonna go way ahead of the curve and just ghost them out. Yeah, I think I did that a lot, like a lot, to the point where like I had nothing to maintain. Like I just threw it all away. But I'm not saying it's a good thing. It was a good process. I'm just saying like that's kind of how I proceeded with things, right?
I mean, I think it's an important realization to recognize that you would rather sabotage things yourself
Yeah.
than disappoint yourself or other
Oh yeah.
people.
Oh yeah. I've
And
always said.
I don't even, I'm not hearing this from you, but I think it's probably true. I feel pretty confident that you're also trying to protect the other person.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure. But I'm not gonna be a purist and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it because I'm so nice to them or whatever. It's partly because I know they'll be disappointed and I know how they're gonna feel because you've seen it a lot. If you've seen them be disappointed often, you know what's gonna happen. You can almost predict it, right? So yes, I am gonna protect them in a certain way. Um, and often enough that the
You're
people
also,
that
you're
go
also
ahead.
doing something weird, which is that, so it's interesting, right? So I said you're trying to protect them too, and then you said, well, yeah, but I'm not going to like pretend to be a purist and like I'm just doing it for them.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you mean?
so I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because I don't even, I think you're actively pushing away like a good part of yourself. You kind of
Maybe
see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this makes sense, but
kind of.
so the first thing that you're really open to pointing out how you're almost selfish, but not, but like you retreat away from being selfless in some way. Because when I ask you like, who are you, and maybe you just really are more focused about not disappointing yourself, but I think it's kind
More,
of
yeah,
weird
it
that
is. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's more about myself than them.
it's more about yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't like saying it. I mean, it's just
Okay,
how it is. It's true though. It's more about myself. Yeah,
and
like
and
I do care a bit about them and about what's gonna be the fallout. I guess with how they're gonna react or whatever. But that's not really the core focus. It's more like how I'm gonna feel if I fuck it up,
and
right?
how are you going to feel if you fuck it up?
Um, it'll get dark. Like it'll be like um super upset, man. It's kind of like it's gonna be like cowardly at one point because that's how I know that's how you progress, right? Through failure and then understanding what happened and whatever and all that, right? But at some point, I feel like you failed so often that it's almost like you're predicting it. So it's like you're predicting your own failure, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something. Um, and I know it's a bad pattern, but I'm just saying that that's what I do
How is it cowardly?
because that's not how I don't think that's how you improve as a person. It's not how you grow and get better by predicting you're going to fail and like making sure you fail but ahead of time. Otherwise, I would never even try. But sometimes it's about like the dream of it. Sometimes you kind of wish that you could have something of value, and you kind of go for it anyway. And
What
that's what
makes that
happens.
hard for you?
What makes that hard? Which part?
What makes it hard to try for something that's valuable? So you're kind of saying that like, the way you're supposed to learn is by giving it your all and, learning from it, but it sounds like you're not really able to do that very easily. So why not? Why can't you do what you know you need to do?
I don't
Why can't
know.
you love Felix?
Um, Shit, I don't know. I think I think in a lot of ways, like I know for a fact that there's gonna be stuff that, or like I'll have goals or I'll hyper focus, and I know for a fact that even I could have the best thing I could have right now in front of me, and I could easily claim it by, let's say, if I had to put like 1 hour aside, and I could have that for the rest of my life, and it's like the best thing in the world. I know for a fact that I won't, I won't do it. At one point, I will fail, and it's like predictable almost, right? Um, and that's kind of how it's been, like I know that I'll want to stream more and do this and do that, and I know that my goals and my thing, like the grind, will come in the middle of it, and I will give up on them and myself at that point. And it's like you still try for these things, um but I'll do it as in like almost like a dream, if that makes sense. I don't want to be too cliche about it. Like it's a bit like a dream. Think about like all the possibilities. Like, oh, okay, cool. You kind of let yourself like drift away with that idea, and you kind of go for it half-ass, and you kind of almost start getting it, right? And you're like, sometimes I almost get mad that it's working, right? Sometimes I'll get mad that it's actively working and it's like developing, and I'm like, oh man, nah, I kind of wish I didn't start it because now I have to fucking throw it away, and that sucks. Isn't that so weird though? Yeah, I feel like I'm like I'm demonic or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I hope this is okay. I say this with love. That's fucked up.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's fucked up too. I think it's okay to the only thing the only thing that I'll be okay with is saying that um like it's okay to want things, right? But sometimes I can't come to terms with like what that comes with and the commitment and what the whole package of it, right? And all I think is like I don't know, the best part of it or whatever. And I'll be like, I'll fall into the dream and then like, oh man,
How are you so sure you're gonna screw it up?
mm, like I said earlier, I'm so messy. I'm so fucking. It's like the more I focus on not fucking up, increases my chance of fucking up. Like I said earlier with the phone thing, um, and it becomes where you have this kind of belief that you're not allowed to have good things. That's kind of how it was for me. Um,
Tell me
and I
about
would
that.
and I would lock myself out of having good things because I know I can't have them. I'm gonna fuck it up. So I'd rather do other things instead. But here and there, I'll fall through I'll fall into the rabbit hole of like still kind of wanting it or a part of it. And like I said earlier, like I'll be like, ooh, this is working. Fuck, I wish like it's crazy when it just kind of works. Like with some way back when, like I'd like talk to a girl or something, send her DM or whatever, and I'm talking because I'm like, it'd be cool if she replied, right? And oh my god, and what if she was my girlfriend? That'd be so nice. And then she's so hot, and like, oh my god, she's kind of out of my league, and it's kind of crazy. And then she replies, and then at one point, like, it's what I want, right? In my head, I'm like, I really want her to reply, and she does, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, oh god, I gotta throw it away, and then bang, you throw it away, and that's so dumb.
Yeah, but I mean, I think so. So Felix, when there's a part of us that is dumb, there's I don't know how to say this. The stupider it is, the more correct it is in a weird way. So like for you to learn that and believe that, you had to learn that lesson really, really hard. Like you had to learn it in a big way. So when did this idea that you're not allowed to have good stuff, where did you learn that?
Shit, that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. That is really tough. I don't want to be like non-responsive, but I don't. It's not that I want to dodge the question.
I know.
I just feel like it's a lot of um small things, big things, and it just kind of as you grow up, yes, it becomes like a core belief,
Yeah.
right? And so it's not like a big event or big whatever, right?
So is there something insignificant that comes to mind from a long time ago?
Um, yeah. I mean, there's a billion stories of like stuff that I fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
my brother we used to play Diablo, and we had the whole point of Diablo is to have good items, and then one time he kind of like let me use his account so I could like do duels or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like I had this now, even though it's not mine, I could kind of use it a little bit. And then some guys like, yo, dude, I'll dupe your items, like I'll double it, And I'm like, ooh, Nick is gonna love this. I'm about to clutch up, and I give him all my items, and he just disconnects. And then and then he comes home from school, and he's like, yo, dude, what happened? We got hacked. I'm like, oh my god, we got hacked. No, I knew that, and I never told him. I'm pretty sure to this day he doesn't know about it. his best character was just naked because of what I did. Um, and just small stuff like that makes me feel like it doesn't matter like how easy I get it, how hard I work for something that I'll have, I will throw it away one way or another, unintentionally. And that belief becomes so strong that like, okay, I will do it intentionally now. Because I always say, um, yes, sometimes I'll build a tower, right? Like a success in one way or another, or I'll build something. Um, it feels really good that when the tower falls, because I broke it, nobody
Yeah.
else. And when that power is taken away from me, I become like a demon. Because nobody breaks my tower. I break my own. And it'll break, but it comes from my hand. And when that power is stripped away from me, it makes me like, that's when things get really bad. You know?
Really bad in what way?
Um, like it gets bad. I get like just in these mental cycles, like of powerlessness, right? Because I want to be, I have the option. It's not that I want to destroy everything I built, right? I want to have the option of it. Does that make sense? I want to have the button that says, fuck this shit, I'm out, right?
Yeah.
And break it down. And
So
that's kind of how I felt with like people and money. That's how I felt. Or like,
yeah.
um, yeah,
So I don't know if you had this experience, but when you're growing up and kids make fun of you, one of the
yeah,
things that kids will start to do is if people are bullying you and making fun of you, one of the things that you learn as a kid is you're going to make fun of yourself,
yeah,
and then you start beating yourself up. And
yeah,
why is that? It's because you've got two choices. You can people can make you can feel like crap and it be out of your control, or you can feel like shit and it can be in your control.
yeah,
And we'll pick one over the other all day long.
yes,
I think the problem is that once you start beating yourself up for that control, as you start to grow older and you internalize it, the bullies on the playground will disappear at some point. But you fucking carry yourself.
yeah. I'm very visual. So I see what you're saying, right? And now I see like this kid in the playground, and all the other kids like vanished out of thin air, right? And the guy's still, he's still hitting himself, right? He's still doing it to himself. You know, everybody's gone at that point. And he's getting older now. He's still doing it, and people haven't been there for years, right? That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Does that? Yeah.
That's me. That is me. Yeah, yeah. Especially growing up like struggling with like confidence and whatever, right? Um, that's kind of how it felt a lot. Is that um, I felt like I don't know, like I didn't dress properly, or I was ugly, I was kind of stupid. I don't know, I was short, or yeah, I grew up. I was 1 year in advance in school, so everybody was like, when everybody was 18, I was 17, right? Um, so like yeah, I mean sometimes I did get kind of like made fun of, which is fine. I don't think I don't think that was the big problem because I was like a class clown. It's kind of how I made up for it. So I made everybody laugh, and it was all good. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I think
but when you
yeah.
become the class clown, you also become a little bit invisible.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. That's why I'm actually surprised you're gonna. Well, I mean you're knowledgeable, so yeah, you know that. Um, yeah. Why do you say that? I'm interested now. I want to hear your take on it.
Well, because then they're not seeing you, right? They're seeing you perform. They're seeing a version of you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's not really who you are. Like
Shit.
everyone's going to pay attention to you as long as you're making them laugh. But if you say, "Hey, I'm hurting today," what are they going to do?
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I came to the same conclusion, but in different words. When I tell people about this, I tell like I was a class clown, and everybody liked me, right? Nobody loved me. I was friends with everybody, but had no friends, right? And then if I said hello to somebody, anybody out of like the hundreds of people that in my level, they'll say hello back and they'd chill out and do something. But I wouldn't get invited to parties. I wouldn't go anybody. I wouldn't go back to anybody after school. Um, and then that kind of like I never understood why that was the case, and I think I'm starting to get it now.
Is that
I think
true
that
for
makes
you
sense.
today?
Um, yeah, I think it might be.
And why is
Um,
that?
um, I don't know. I guess I performed so much that I guess I'm like a natural performer. I guess that it's always on, you know.
I think that's a
And
part of it. But I think there's
yeah,
something else going on,
what
which
is
is
it?
that the moment that someone doesn't treat you that way, you sabotage the relationship.
Okay, yeah. Wow, that's insightful.
Right? So now it's kind of tricky because here you are. Here's a part of your mind that's saying this always happens. And the very people that will be able to disprove it, you fucking kick them to the curb.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And so then that part of your mind is going to be, see, it always happens.
Okay, well,
Oh my God, every time I step outside, I get wet. My luck is so bad. Oh shit, it's raining. Let me run outside. Oh, no rain today? I'm going to stay inside.
okay, yeah.
Every time I go outside, I get wet.
Yeah, I guess the reason why it, yeah, that's like how it is. And I guess one reason why it got so bad, I guess, is that not only does this make sense, but the one time where it kind of does happen, the one time where you know it's not raining, and then it starts raining, and you're like, at that point, it doesn't even matter what I do; it's gonna happen regardless,
Yeah.
right? And I think that happened recently, where like, you know, um, I think that kind of development in a certain way. I'm not gonna speak in code, but like with my personal relationship, I think coincidentally or not, I was like, it always rains, right? And I go in the rain all the time, and that one time, I think it just started raining. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna sabotage it this time. I'm gonna go outside and, hey, look, guys, it's not raining outside, so I'm not gonna get wet. And it just starts, and it's like I fucking knew it, and then everything starts like, and I think then you start having like massive like, I don't know, that becomes a strong idea to break away from. I think so now it's like super built, you know.
Yeah. No.
That's like proven in every way.
Yep. Yeah. I think one of the worst things that can happen for you is that if you believe something about life and life teaches you that you're right, hardest thing to kick.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Felix, I do think that there are little things that, so I'm not hopeless for you. I think you've got a lot of stuff working for you. I think the most important thing is that it seems like you're pretty honest with yourself. So I what I'm getting the sense of is not that you deny things, but that once you come to a conclusion, kind of like you were saying with the sponsorships, like you're going to do it your way. And you're also going to think your way, and you're going to live life your way. And so the problem here is one of rigidity. The problem is that you're a smart guy who has learned somewhere along the way that the way that the other people live their lives doesn't apply to you. You get that? Like you probably learned that really early on.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right.
Like a best example is Ludwig. I love Ludwig. I mean, but he does things in a way I could never do, and I know that. The way he processes things and how he sees content, how he does it, right? I almost make fun of him sometimes because it's so foreign to me, right? It's exactly the opposite of how I do things, right? So that's gonna, it's an example jumped at me.
Yeah, so I think the challenge is that you learned early on, like, you know, so even when it comes to making friends, right? So like early on, you're a year younger. I was too, by the way. And so it's hard being you were talking about 17, 18. I'm talking about 5 and 6.
Oh,
right? When you go to like physical education or gym class or whatever, and you're like a 5-year-old competing against 6-year-olds, you're going to get crushed.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are even 7.
Them.
And then like they hit puberty and like you don't.
Yeah, I was a squeaker.
What does that mean?
A squeaker, man. The voice is squeaking. It's like,
right?
You know? Yeah.
And so then you learn to take control by making fun of yourself, by making fun of other kids, right? If you can make them laugh, like you start to become invisible.
Yeah.
You start to lose a little bit of faith in yourself, but also you get this like really strong kind of faith in yourself. There's this core of iron at the bottom. You learn to believe in yourself and trust in yourself, and you learn that like you can't count on anyone else. And what everyone else tells you will work in life doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you become fiercely independent. It's the only way for you to survive.
Okay, yeah, I relate to that a lot. Yeah. I also, kind of built a strong sense of like my a strong confidence in my ability to perform. Because if you have to perform or survive, then you're always doing it. At one point, it becomes like second nature, you know? Because like always like running in the background, which is good and bad, right? Because then you're always invisible. But,
yeah, right.
yeah.
And then
So
when someone sees you, oh hey, this girl DM'd me. I told her that life was hard, and she didn't know who I am, and she offered to split the bill. She doesn't know how much money I make. Holy shit, she's not with me for my money.
Yeah.
Time to fucking block her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. It's a bad pattern for sure. I think I've understood a part of that. I think in recent times, very recent times, I think I've had a small amount, but very significant experiences where it didn't rain, right? And I didn't get wet, and I was like, wow, what is that like? And then I'll interact with those people, right? And I'll be like, why aren't you watering? Like, why isn't it raining? Right? And they don't know they think I'm crazy or something, right? But I'm like, it's kind of weird. I'll tell them like, man, you're kind of interacting, you're talking to me like a human. It's kind of weird, right? I'm trying to get past this point where like I don't have to notice on the fly and kind of make them hear about it. But I've had a good amount recently that's like, shit, yeah, it doesn't rain, and it felt really good. It's why I'm saying direction is up, is that even though it's only 2 or 3 instances, like it's really refreshing, and I think I took like a day off for like the first time in a long time, and I kind of had that, and I was like, maybe there's like hope there. Sometimes all it takes is just one instance of the opposite to have like some sort of track record that can get better.
Yeah. Look at you being hopeful.
It's good. I like it. No, it's good. I don't like to be self-loathing. Oh, guys, I give up on everything, right? I did that with a couple things, but when there's a good thing that comes up, I'll catch it. You know, I still have my hands like this, right? And I'm waiting for the ball, right? And it hasn't been a ball in a long time, but now there's one. I'll catch it.
Is it okay for you to be pitied?
No. I don't want to be pitied.
What about people having compassion for you?
Perhaps all my problems are self-inflicted. All of them. There's not one that isn't. Like I said earlier, like if you play with fire, you will get burned and you might fall in it. Well, like I can't fall in the fire and say like, where was it? I was playing with it the whole time, right? And a lot of the loneliness and the things
Felix?
What?
Sorry. Is it okay if I interrupt you sometimes?
Yeah, do that. It's funny. I like it.
So if you were to blame for all of your problems, who has control over your life?
Matrix. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Where was that going?
If you're always to blame, who's got the power? You do.
Me. Yeah, me. Yeah.
So here's the weird thing. Remember how we talked about the whole, like, I'm going to make fun of myself or I'm going to sabotage this relationship because I don't want to lose control over it?
Yeah.
You're taking control all the time. Control. Fucking, I don't care about the fucking money. You guys want the money? I'll fucking burn it. I'll teach you to look past me, bitch.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've done that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I do have the power and the control to do these things.
This is the crazy thing is you this is the weird thing. You don't. It's the way that you view the world. But I hate to break this to you, Felix, but you can't control anything except for yourself. Like literally.
You're right.
It's the way you see the world, and I don't blame you for seeing the world that way. Because it's a way that lets us fix the unfixable. Because when I can't control other human beings and they hurt me, that means I'm fucked. How do I win this match? I can't win the match because someone else has power and I don't. It's a scary way to go through life. But then the problem is that when you think you have all the control, all kinds of weird shit starts to happen. The first is that you do this weird kind of stuff in relationships where the moment that some person exerts independence or whatever, you're like, this is weird. I don't like it. I'm losing control of the relationship. And somewhere along the way, you lost faith in yourself, which is weird because you almost have this paradoxical, unrelenting faith in yourself. I could fucking cancel you on every single platform and you'd be fine with it because you'll find some other, you'll fucking build your own platform. You'll start streaming. You thrive in the chaos. It's not the challenges that hold you back.
Okay.
It's the wins. It's the lucky breaks. That's when you're like, what the fuck? It's sunny today? Where's the rain?
Yeah.
And now you're confused. And so what do you do? Make a weather-altering machine, go find some shaman, and they do a rain dance, and you're like, that's right.
Yeah.
Create the chaos. Now I understand.
Okay.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, of course. I like stories.
I once had a patient who had been traumatized and was convinced that everyone in their life abandons them.
Yeah.
Finds a loving... So this is what's weird. So when you've been in abusive relationships, you tend to gravitate towards abusive relationships. And everyone else is like, what the fuck? Like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you date someone who's not a toxic shitter? And then the person doesn't understand, right? And it's not their fault. Because here's what happens. They date two people. One person is like, yeah, you suck. And they're like, okay, I know this game. I've played this game. I know what the rules are. I can survive it. And then someone else comes along and they're like, you're awesome. And now they get confused. They're like, what do you mean I'm awesome? Because people have told them that before, and they start out being awesome and then they end up being abusive. And so then what happens, what really starts to happen, what's really sad about this is at some point they find someone who has faith in them as a human being, doesn't see them as invisible, doesn't just date them for their body or their money or whatever. And then they get even more confused because they don't even know what love feels like. They don't know what unconditional acceptance feels like. So then they start being like, what are you doing? Where's the other shoe? Like, what are you not telling me? You're going to leave me, right? You're going to leave me, right? You're going to leave me, right? You went out with your friends for a week. Did you cheat on me? I'm sure you cheated on me. Of course you cheated on me. And then the person's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. And the other person's like, you're going to leave me. You're going to leave me. And what do they end up doing? They fucking drive him away. Like, I can't deal with this shit. I'm gone. See, I knew it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was right all along. You were bullshitting me, and you were really good at it. You bullshitted me for 4 years.
Yeah, that's bad enough. I feel like there's even a worse example. You could, instead of driving them away, you drive away. You're like, I knew it. You're the one who went away.
So that's what happens, right? So I drive them away for a while, and then I decide, you know what? It hurts too much to be loved by someone and have that person abandon me. So now what I'm going to do is anytime there's an instance of genuine love or affection, I know where this ends. I don't want to put myself through it. Because having someone treat you like shit and then abandon you, I can manage that. Someone loving you and abandoning you hurts way more.
Yeah, okay, true, yeah.
So Felix, it's the good stuff that hurts in life.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I see this with parents because like, you don't really know, like I didn't really know what fear was until I had kids. Like fear is like a whole different, it's like different. It's just different. Like once you really love something and you're responsible for something in this world, you know a level of fear that's like absolutely terrifying. And I think what I'm hearing from you is that you've been burned so much. Yeah, you're fucking stepping around the fire, but you've gotten burnt here or there. Now you're starting to develop scar tissue.
Yeah.
And then some bad shit happens, and you know some of it's your fault and some of it isn't. And I think that like you know, I mean, it sounds like for a lot of reasons you can be very hard in relationships. Like I'm not talking about just romantic relationships. You're kind of saying, you know, you don't water your plants and
just all of them, yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, so I feel really confident because I think that you do control a lot. I don't think you control as much as you think you control. I think it's helpful for you to believe that you're omnipotent.
Omnipotent? I kind of know what that means, but not really.
All powerful.
Okay.
Right? Like, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, I think there's weird stuff. It's really hard to be in a relationship with someone who believes they're omnipotent. I'm not talking about, like, narcissism. I mean that, like, when everything is under your control, you stop holding other people responsible. You actually let them do things like walk over you. That person who you talked about with the will, that person has signaled to you that they care more about your money 1,000 different ways before that moment. But you let it ride because it's, like, if this person is, like, not treating me the way that I need to be treated, it's my fault. I need to change the way that I interact with them. You know, when you get bullied at school and you start becoming the class clown, you don't blame the bullies. You learn how to blame yourself because it's a survival mechanism. If you blame the bullies, all that's going to happen, you're going to get fucking bullied more. But if you put the pressure on yourself, I need to be funnier. I can control this if I'm funny enough. It gives you power.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually, yeah. And what's the solution to that, to getting out of that kind of...
So a couple of things. The first is... So I'm going to... Give me a second, okay? I'm going to write this out.
Yeah. By the child thing you were talking about, I feel like I feel that with my brother. Even though we're not that close these days, right? I can be hurt and get hurt by a bunch of people and hurt myself a bunch of times. It doesn't really feel scary or anything. But whenever he gets harmed or something like that, then I go into like a different mode, like change gears almost, you know? And I think he feels the same way about me, kind of like brotherhood.
Okay, give me just a second. That's useful to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Give me a second, sorry. Okay. So how do you fix that? Let's understand. For everybody who's in a situation kind of like this, the first thing that you've got to do, and you're spot on. So it's interesting. There's like old yogic texts that describe how you kind of said it wasn't one moment, it's 1,000 tiny things. But those things are significant. So the first thing that you can do is tell those stories. So this is sometimes the work of psychotherapy, but there's a lot of emotional processing that also happens in places like Alcoholics Anonymous. Like we see this a lot with like addiction, right? Where people will go and they'll like share their story and stuff like that. You can do it with friends. Like you can, you know, you got to like articulate all the times that you knew that you could not be trusted to not break something. Because I want you to really think about what does that do to someone's life when they believe that they cannot be trusted to protect something. Like everything precious in their life gets sabotaged or discarded. And the more precious it is, the more you have to run away from it. Because you can't trust yourself not to break it. So if you tell those stories, it's weird, but you will change. That'll fix a lot of it. Second thing is be really intentional in kind of this rain or shine sort of thing, okay? So like the problem is that right now you've got a lot of reflexes about the way that you respond to your feelings and the way that you interpret what happens in your life, right? So you have like, you feel a certain way like, oh, I feel really happy, this is really good. And that feeling connects to a reflexive behavior. I got to ghost him.
Yeah.
So that needs to be caught in the moment and be like, okay, what am I feeling? What do I feel like doing? How does it feel to do that? What you're doing is when someone starts to like you, Felix, and you like them back, you're losing control. You can't have that.
No, I can't have that.
Right? And when you ghost them, what are you getting back?
Control.
Absolutely. One is awesome, right? Oh my God, she's kind of into me, but it's fucking scary, man.
Yeah. Because if you build a tower too thin and then it starts wobbling and it'll fall, I better just
right.
topple it.
You're
Yeah,
taking control.
It feels good sometimes.
Yes, right? Because you're scared.
Yeah.
So being able to conquer that fear when you're ready, being able to be hurt again, which I don't blame you. Like I don't blame you for any of this. This is normal. You're just,
Shit, I'm not ready to be hurt again. I'm fucking, bro. I'm like, I'm right now. I'm just shut down.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
fine.
It's like,
That's fine.
I'm becoming radicalized. Okay.
That's
I'm red pill. I'm Tate. No, I'm just kidding.
okay. I mean, even all of those things are okay, right?
Yeah,
So it can start with like relationships. It's like starting with stuff like telling Nick that y'all didn't get hacked.
I never told him. He's probably gonna watch this one day and be like, "Oh man," because he's 20. I think he's 30 now, and I haven't told him yet.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of relationships where you're going to feel these reflexes of pulling away. So catch them in the moment, and that's where there's like some amount of, almost techniques that you can use if you really want to, but I don't know if that's your jam. But like the key thing to remember is that anything you feel in that moment, that fear or that loss of control, do you understand that feelings are temporary?
Yes.
And so you can deal with that loss of control by engaging in a behavior and ghosting the person, or you can just do nothing. And what will happen to the feeling of loss of control?
Don't know.
Exactly. So you need to learn this. So this is
Yeah,
where
I don't have an
I
answer.
swear to God, it will disappear. It will go away on its own. And that's just because that's how human beings work. So I know it's kind of confusing, but like every emotion or thought, so your mind is never permanent. Do you get that? Your mind is always changing. New thoughts, new emotions. Emotions come, emotions go. They can get triggered by things, but all emotions and thoughts in the mind are fluctuations, and then they return to baseline. If emotions would be permanent and you had the perfect wedding, you'd be happy for the rest of your life. That's not how it works.
It's the hedonic treadmill thing, right?
Right. So this is the key thing. The reverse of the hedonic treadmill is that, sure, if you keep on chasing stuff, you keep on chasing to get, and that's why you need to chase new stuff to get that old high. But the reverse of the hedonic treadmill is also true.
You dip
this
low, stabilize, dip low, stabilize, and type of thing.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the degenerate gamer solution to life, which is that you don't actually need to climb and all your problems will get fixed. You just fucking sit your ass down and your problems will literally disappear.
They do disappear, yeah.
So all emotions that you have, any amount of hurt that you feel, will actually disappear over time. It can get re-triggered. So for you to not engage in those self-sabotaging behaviors, it's just going to be scary for you, but it's an internal battle that you have to fight. It's one of the few things that you do control. The last thing, and this is going to be hard,
Okay.
is you got to try surrendering.
Surrender control?
Yep.
Oh, just letting the dogs loose and just see where they go?
Yeah, you're not ready for this yet, I think. But
Yeah,
if you really want to know what's truly liberating, because this is the thing, right? Even if you think about that broken cell phone.
You know what? Wait, hold up. Wait, I sorry to interrupt you. You know what? I just thought about it. I think I tried what you just did, and since I told you I'm very self-destructive overall, and it's one of my techniques of moving on and doing stuff. I genuinely did this whole like full let go, right, and see what happens. And it's just really unlucky. It's unfortunate. I got burned back to back, and it's just really unlucky though. And I recognize that. I recognize that it was not like foreseeable or anything. So
surrendering is also trickier than sometimes we think it is. It's not. It's sort of letting go, but like a lot of what we have to let go. I don't know exactly what happened in that situation. I'll trust you in that it was unlucky, but I think that you got to work on a couple of other things and then surrender. And this is the beautiful thing. If you sort of think about it, right? When we have that cracked cell phone, that's the principle of surrender. Here you are trying to control everything. Oh my God, I can't crack it. I can't crack it. I can't crack it. You're trying to control it. And it's so stressful. Oh my God. And then it gets cracked anyway. And you fucker, you're controlling everything all the time. You'll crack your cell phone, but for the rest of your life, you've got to be in control. And look at what you're doing. And then you discovered, hey, If it gets cracked, I'm free. Let it be cracked again. If I drop it, it's dropped. So be it. That's surrender. You actually figured it out, and it's liberating. That I can use the cell phone, I can stick it in my pocket, I can eat with it, and one day it could be cracked. So be it. I'm going to do my best, but I can't protect the cell phone forever. And once you can live to,
It's just interesting that I'm like an elite at understanding that system and how it works in some areas. I can't apply it in other areas.
Yeah.
The one doesn't go to the other. I just don't do it.
Right. And
I don't know why.
That's because your degree of attachment to the two areas is different.
Okay.
Right. So how much you care about it is different. You don't care about a cell phone. Sure, you stress about it a little bit. You don't care. But when it comes to like falling in love and being seen and no longer being invisible, right, then you care. And once you start to care, things get scary, Felix.
Yeah, I see that.
Right? You can burn the money because it ain't about the money.
Yeah. I get it now. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you kind of made that. You kind of materialized it now because I didn't get that. It's about the degree of care for these things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've learned an antidote to that too, which is you teach yourself how to stop caring. Right? You build all these walls, which is like a good temporary measure.
Temporary, yeah. Just so it doesn't happen again like too soon, and it's like
So there's like a difference between like surviving today and like living for a happy tomorrow. And right now I get the sense that you're in survival mode. So whatever. So start to do these things. Then I think, if you're diligent with this in a couple years, you'll be living a different life.
Okay.
The day-to-day may look the same, but the way that you're going to feel and hear is going to be different. My hope for you is that you'll have a couple of like meaningful relationships, romantic or whatever. I mean, that I don't know, but where people can see you for who you are. And then you can also have conversations with them about, hey, I'm not great at like watering plants. And this is something I'm actively working on, like as a human being. And I really appreciate your patience. And I'm going to try to do better. And then there's going to be like small parts of that, which is on a day-to-day basis. Like you're going to get all these Discord messages. And there's a part of you that knows that you should message your friend, but you don't because there's like too much important shit to do. And then you have to deviate something. And instead of doing something important, you're going to message your friend. And then your friend becomes important. And then you're watering that plant. And it'll change. Like you can change. In the sense, I think you've got all the right pieces already. They just need to be like moved around a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, I think sometimes I kind of like interacted deliberately almost, or at least knowingly with like fire and be like, wow, I can't believe this is hot. That is crazy. And I know it's a fire to begin with, right? And if I just am just better at just choosing a little bit better and giving it maybe more chances and taking less like deliberate risks, maybe I have one or two results. It goes a long way sometimes. I realize that now. It doesn't take much for things to flip. It doesn't. Sometimes just one is good enough. I didn't believe it at first though. It's kind of hard to believe it when you're so stuck on one idea,
Yeah.
Like dissonance.
Yeah. And I think you've shared with us that you're good at looking back and finding the bright points. And I think you were just in such a dark headspace where the bright points weren't visible or genuinely weren't there because you kind of got, fucked, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I think processing all these things is sometimes difficult because you always have the reminder like, oh, I could have also done better. I could have done better. And it's like, it sucks a little bit in hindsight that you could have done better, right? And things kind of got bad regardless. I don't know. It's just something that annoys me about it, right? Because, it sucks.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff, Felix, which I don't think we're ready for, but I don't think you could have done better. I know it's weird, but I think that one of the lessons I've learned in life is that like there's even the neuroscience and stuff. There's this part of our brain that does something called counterfactual thinking, which goes back and replays things in the past in a non-factual way. So these are the facts of what happened, and then your mind replays things in a hypothetical. And that's one way that we learn from our mistakes. If we didn't have that capacity, we wouldn't be able to like hypothesize why we lost a particular game, right?
Yeah, I feel like I'm stuck in that world almost like all the time, like all day.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that even though the mind does that, it is literally impossible to do better than you did back then.
Yeah.
Right? Because you only knew what you did. You can only do the best that you could have done.
You're right.
And so like then the question becomes, what do you truly control? You only control the present. So don't think about how you could have done better, because you couldn't have done better. But the next time that you want to retreat from a relationship, that's your test.
Okay. Yeah, that's insightful.
Other questions?
No, that was really good. That made a lot of sense. Yeah, I think a lot of like the other topics or other things, they kind of like fall into the same boxes, because I think that was like an umbrella solution for like a pattern of behavior, and the other thing doesn't matter what the specifics or the semantics are. I think that kind of englobes it. I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about like just overall kind of like moving on from stuff, sometimes kind of, but I think that also what we said kind of helps also having like new things and seeing it differently. And I think that plays the same role. Yeah. As I'm wrong about it.
No, I think you're right. So I think that there was a theme for today that I was hearing. And I think the theme is actually the way that you go through life. That's why it all relates, right? This is you.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that if you engage in future conversations with people in a meaningful or intentional way, you'll discover other things. But one thing I have to tell you, unfortunately, is that the insight is not sufficient. It's necessary, but the next part is like doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah, which is what a lot of times I've like turned back on, right? Because it's easier to say, it was over anyway, or it was too hard, or find an excuse. You look everywhere, you're gonna find one, right?
Right.
And then you turn back.
You got to catch that thought.
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just gonna say, in snowboarding, something that we do a lot, or maybe just me, I did. When you go to the big jumps that are massive, once you're committed, right? And a lot of times I was too afraid to take them because they're so big, like the big jumps, And then I would just send it forward towards it, right? And then at one point, I almost forced myself. I was like, I'm going a straight line, right? And I started going on the up ramp, right? I'm like, well, I can't turn back now, right? But I put myself in that position, right, where I can't turn back anymore. Because sometimes, if I have the option of turning back, I will turn back, right? And the way that I process that, and I think I do better, is when I kind of lock myself into it and be engaged. And I think that builds a better pattern of doing better.
So this is what's hard, is that I'm with you. So I think it's the same thing about creating chaos and kind of thriving in chaos. Because once the cat is out of the bag, it's time for xQc to step into the arena, and you can trust yourself to come out on top. I'm with you. Yeah. The reason this is hard is because you're never committed. The reason this is hard is because on a daily basis, you have a chance to turn around. And that's why you haven't figured it out. Because thus far, you've required commitment to see things through. You're actually not in control. You put yourself in a situation where you lose control.
Oh my God. Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
That's why this is hard for you. Because this is the opposite of snowboarding.
Yeah.
There's no critical point.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. That's a good takeaway. Yeah, that was all good. Yeah, by the way, I didn't want to come here with like this like super like sad boy vibes. I just didn't sleep that much. I'm just saying I didn't want to seem like I was like just coming here and being all like yeah, it's just I got woken up at like 7 a.m, so But yeah, I didn't want to seem like I was disinterested in what you're saying. If you've ever felt that today or anything, I was very engaged in, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe from you, and I'm also happy to have whoever shows up today. If you're tired, if you're disengaged, like that's okay.
But yeah, I think I thought there was gonna be some like voodoo solution to a lot of these things and processes or whatever they were gonna come up with, and some like there was this Indian book in 1994, and it said to do this and that, right? And I thought they were gonna pull some shit like that, but it was actually quite simple, and sometimes that's kind of the best solutions are the simple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I hope I wasn't too short today, or whatever. It was,
No, man, this is perfect.
all right. Well, I think we should do a check-in soon. See what happens.
Okay, sure.
You want to do a check-in soon or not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what you're asking, but I mean,
A check-in, like just, in a couple maybe weeks or a couple months, whatever. If I achieve any sort of progress in those directions, I'll give you a heads up. Or
okay, sure.
Or depro or default, or it got bad.
Sure.
It got way worse, right? And it rains inside as well. Like it starts raining everywhere.
You pulled a wall down and the roof fell over, and now it's raining on the inside of your house. Yeah, I hear you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
sure.
I'm not there at all though. Like I'm not. I'm not like the giving up type. But sometimes like, I'll kind of like play it off like I'm giving up. I mean, sometimes I like the attention, but it's not like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah. So let's sort out follow-ups later. But I think for now, thanks for coming on, and hopefully, this was helpful to you. And I think, by the way, a lot of what you're struggling with, I think, is very common. I mean, that's why I have the insight that I do, because I've lived half of it myself. I was a year younger. I was the class clown. Learned how to be self-reliant, and then like had to go to India to learn how to surrender. And it's like hard to learn. It runs against. I mean, you've built your whole life to avoid surrender.
Yeah.
So and that's it's okay.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, my friend.
Thank you for everything. That's okay. Yeah. I'll touch up again. Yeah, thanks for everything. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care,
I
buddy.
hope everything was good. Well, by the way, did you have a good time at Streamies and whatever, or what?
Yes and no. I don't think it's my. It's
not
not.
my cup of tea either.
Yeah, I think it was. So I was very happy to be nominated. Obviously, I think it was like it's like a bucket list kind of thing that I went to like an LA fancy thing.
Just have your name somewhere out that isn't on your own stream.
Well,
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I feel honored, but I also think it's cool to like I went to like an LA fancy party.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's the first time in my life that I've done that.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool. But I really didn't. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I think it's a world that I'm not.
I'm not familiar with it either. I think it's a little like it's a lot of fronts and it's a lot of fluff that personally I don't enjoy. Right? I go for the after parties. Okay, I go to get fucked up. That's how it is. It's
Okay.
Otherwise I wouldn't go. But yeah, I enjoyed seeing you there though. It was fun.
Yeah, likewise. Take care, man.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. All right. Questions. Y'all got that? So, couple of things to remember. The first is that sometimes it takes a little while to get to where we need to go. Number one. And I want y'all to be patient with yourselves too. Right? It's like, oh, like I came in, I'm tired today, I'm this today. Like, just give it some time. Give yourself some time. I think also Felix gave us a fantastic exploration of self-sabotage and why we do it. And it's kind of like he said at the very beginning, addictions, we think of addictions as problems, but they're actually solutions. Self-sabotage is a solution. It's not a problem. So why do we self-sabotage? Because we're afraid of giving it our all. Why is that? So in my case, I would self-sabotage school. Because if I give it my all and I get a bad grade, that means I'm dumb. But if I study for a test and I half-ass it, that means I can get an F and I can still be smart. So we pull away from relationships too. Why? Why do you sabotage relationships? Because you're afraid of falling in love. Why are you afraid of falling in love? Because sometimes it doesn't work out. And the more in love you are and the less it works out, the more it hurts. Right? So self-sabotage fundamentally is a way of maintaining control. If I give it my all and I still fail, that means that the test was better than me. And if I commit to a relationship, that means that someone else has control over my happiness. When kids make fun of me on the playground, it hurts and they're in control. So what do? I self-sabotage. I start making fun of myself. Because you've got two choices in life. Painful and out of control, or painful and in control. And this is why we self-sabotage. It's a way of maintaining control. Because who's doing the sabotaging? You are. You're in control. And so if your life is shit, you'd rather have it be shit and you be in control. Because think about it. If it's shit and you're in control, then you have the power to fix it. So the moment that you self-sabotage, if you can bust your life, that also means you can fix it. And so we end up doing that. But if you're always self-sabotaging, you're not actually in control. Exactly. And that's why self-sabotage does not lead to successful lives. Y'all get that? It doesn't work. What you're doing is giving up control of your life because you don't control the self-sabotage. You're giving up control for the illusion of control. I would rather be fully in control of a crappy life than be halfway in control of a life that is good and could fall apart at any moment because I don't control 50% of it. It's really weird what our mind does. Y'all get this? How do you recognize self-sabotage? Okay, what a great question. I'll give y'all a little clue. How do you recognize self-sabotage? Anything that makes you feel more in control of your life, you should consider self-sabotage. Now, this is the tricky thing, is that things that make you feel more in control could be good, right? But like, if the whole purpose of self-sabotage is control, that's the thing that you should look for. So a feeling of a loss of control followed by a behavior, followed by feeling in more control could be self-sabotage. And so this is what's kind of weird, is what's liberating is actually surrendering control. What gives you confidence and joy is surrendering control, which I know sounds kind of weird. Right? I'm going to prepare for this job interview. I'm going to prepare for this date. And I don't control whether there's a second date or not. I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to see what comes. Anxiety, fear, uncertainty. But you are controlling the only thing that you truly control in that situation. That's what's so weird. When you actually control the right stuff in life, you don't feel in control. What you actually grapple with is uncertainty. Y'all get that? And then the solution, then you're like, wait, but how do you ever deal with that? And that's where you deal with the uncertainty. You learn that life is full of uncertainty, because I don't know if y'all get this, but you cannot see the future. Uncertainty is a fact of life. Literally, there is irrefutable evidence that uncertainty is a part of life, and basically no one can see the future. And so why the fuck, like, this is why it's dumb. Like, you're trying to fundamentally do some mental gymnastics that will take away the uncertainty of the future. You're chasing an impossibility, which is why it doesn't work. And someone's like, I'm not doing anything in life. I have no idea how to start. And it's like, yeah, that's because you're trying to solve an unsolvable problem. Instead of actually fixing the shit that you can, you're like, I'm not doing anything in life. Well, why is that? It's because you're trying to figure all of life out. Stop trying to figure life out and start doing something, anything. But then you're like, I don't know if that's going to work. And you can't know if that's going to work. And if you're waiting on knowing whether something is going to work or not before you do it, that's how you end up doing nothing in life. I don't know if she's going to say yes when I ask her out. So what are you going to do? Not ask her out. And y'all know this because most of y'all maybe play online video games and you don't know when you're going to win or going to lose. You know it's a crapshoot, but you queue up anyway. And so that's what I tell you to do in life. Queue up anyway. You're like, but my fucking teammates suck. Yeah, that's life. And just like life, and just like games, when you're in the MMR trench or whatever and you keep losing because your teammates suck, newsflash, you're the one who sucks. Life is the same way. Oh, yeah, I didn't get this job because this person was discriminating against me. This person dislikes me. This thing happened. This thing happened. This thing happened. And that's the tricky thing is you're right. There's a ton of crap that's outside of your control. You're right. All of that stuff is correct. And that's not what you actually control. So the problem is that when your boss dislikes you and you know craps on you constantly, and so you leave or you get fired or whatever, or you do this stupid thing where you try to control them. What can I do to make my boss happy when they're a fundamentally unhappy person? What you control is leaving and finding someone else. You got to keep queuing up for games to find good teammates. And then something beautiful happens. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but in video games, you have the capacity of adding people to your friend list if you like playing with them. You can message them. And you can go tell them to screw their mothers, or you can add them as friends. And this is weird. I know this is weird. Real life has a very similar functionality. If you like people that you work with and you quit your job, you can stay in touch with them. If you're dating someone, you go on a couple of dates and the person is like, yeah, I just want to be friends. It is possible. I'm not saying you should necessarily do this, but you can be friends with that person. And then you can ask them after a couple of weeks, hey, I'm interested in a romantic relationship. Can you introduce me to anyone? And that is when you get the test of the friend zone. If you're dating someone who says that they want to be your friend, but then cock blocks you or sabotages your attempts to date, then you know that it's BS. Right? So like a friend, like if you're dating someone and they want to be in the friend zone, like that's great. That means that maybe they can hook you up with a friend. Everyone like doesn't understand this. Like if you're interested in a girl or guy and you're friend zoned by them, just ask them to introduce you to other people. Be like totally cool. This is the weird thing. Getting a friend actually gives you access to more potential partners. You guys are having a fucking melt. How has this not occurred to anyone? Is this the most genius thing ever? Like this is... Okay. Okay, well, good. I mean, I guess that's what we're here for. And tomorrow, children, will learn about codependency or whatever real topic. But hey, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be an ass about this. I'm glad it's helpful for y'all. But really, right? And I think so. Here's the thing: if no one has figured that out, it's not that I'm genius or that you're stupid. That's incorrect. It's because of the strength of the cognitive bias at play. Right? Do y'all get that? I'm not actually a genius, and y'all aren't actually stupid. It's just we're so conditioned. And then the other thing is that once you have feelings for someone, like we're so butthurt by getting friend zoned that we can't even appreciate this person as a friend. And that can be hard, right? So when you have romantic feelings for someone and they like put you in the friend zone, it can be hard to interact with them because those feelings come up. And that's why, like, the simple solution is you got to meet other people, right? And so then a lot of people say, cut them off. I'd say don't cut them off. Just ask them, hey, can you introduce me to any friends of yours that are single? And then find someone else to love. You're overestimating our intellect? I don't think so. And so some people are saying, I don't have any friends. So then enter the dating world and get your asses friend zoned. Y'all want to know how to make friends in this world? Date terribly. That's how you take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. Right? Everyone always says, oh, if you want to find a romantic relationship, just make friends and meet people. So that's true, right? So if you want to find a romantic relationship, get out there and just make lots of friends and eventually sparks will fly. If you're having trouble finding friends, start dating. Right? And then get friend zoned. And then y'all are golden. Then you've got a ton of friends. We need ranked matchmaking in dating. Dude, I think they do that already. You guys know that there's like some kind of ELO rating on most dating apps? They determine it by how many people you swipe right on. And if that person does not swipe right on you, then it tanks your rating. So chain swiping right on 1,000 people, just like mindlessly, tanks your MMR. Which is why we get some of these really inflated numbers, like 90,000 swipes in like one date. Competitive dating app? Yeah, it's called human mating. Competitive dating. Dude, dating has been a professional sport since the dawn of humanity. Plastic tear. It's not even a metal. It's like biodegradable tear. Banana leaf tear. Wood tear. Grass tear. Yeah. Man, recycled napkin tier. Yeah, so that's good. Okay. So, who are you rating, chat? So, one last thing. So, I think we're streaming on Friday, I believe, if we're lucky. And I think we're going to have an OnlyFans creator. Woot woot. And one other thing, so a lot of people are asking about this kind of like, you know, how do I manage this stuff? And if you guys like kind of resonate with this sort of pattern of self-sabotage and stuff like that, group coaching is fantastic for all that. And what I mean by fantastic is it's not like you're going to come in and someone is going to say, here's a guide to self-sabotage, because that's not what works. Right? So you can watch a YouTube video and it'll tell you something that'll be informational and interesting. But I don't know if you guys caught this in today's stream, but it's understanding that leads to behavioral change, not information. And catalyzing that understanding is what's hard. And so what we find in groups is that they're like kind of slow to start. To be honest, slow maybe isn't a fair term. I mean, oftentimes they'll kind of pick right up, but it's really over time that you start to see your own patterns. As people start to ask you questions and as you see other people in the group self-sabotaging. So I'll give y'all like kind of a simple example. So if y'all watched this stream today and you were like, oh crap, that's what I do. Chances are you saw it way earlier than Felix did. And the basic problem with self-improvement is that our head is filled with our own biases. So we can't look at ourselves from the outside. And you may have noticed that, you know, you'll have friends that keep on doing stupid stuff. And you're like, I don't understand why this person doesn't see it. And so then the question is, if there is a way to take that quality of seeing someone else's problems more clearly, that's what we try to do in group. That's why it is group. So definitely check that out. We finally have spots for like the first time in like 8 months. Yeah. So check out group coaching. Oh, xQc's streaming. Should we raid him? Or people are saying try Hex. He just ended. GG. Dantes. Aerob, Trihex. Okay, let's raid Trihex. He's playing Slay the Spire. Sweet. And are y'all, how excited is everybody about Starfield? Starfield, yay, nay? Yay? Yeah, we'll see, chat. We'll see. I'm hopeful, but cautiously optimistic. Reserved mirrors how I feel about it. All right, y'all, take care. We'll see y'all on Friday. Thanks for coming late today, everybody. Adios. Oh, yeah, I'm playing BG3. There we go.